The Highest discovers the truth about newcomer Mike. Eli barely escaped out of Victoria's bedroom, and Hunter wants Alonzo's head on a platter, literally. Stay tuned for all the drama that's unfolding on Tyler Perry's The Oval as I break down Season 5, Episode 5, titled Something to Hide. Now, this episode picked up right where it left off last week with wimpy Eli scrambling to get from underneath Victoria as Hunter is barely breathing, standing at the foot of the bed about to go into cardiac arrest, trying to figure out who was under the cover. Now, Victoria couldn't let Hunter see what was actually under the cover, right on his side of the bed. Can you imagine? I mean, Hunter was pretending to care, all while Victoria was straddling him, trying to keep him from seeing what was going on. And Eli's scary as he just got up and ran out of the room. Oh my gosh, this guy. And Hunter thinks that it's Sam, so we can expect him to torture Sam in upcoming episodes, I'm sure. Just gonna make his life a living hell. And this was the only cameo that Hunter and Victoria had throughout the entire episode until the very end trailer where he said that he wanted to have Alonzo killed, right? So that's gonna be interesting. Then we'll move on to Allan and his killer Bunky here. And after Kyle moved in to break him up and to take Allan to interrogation, it was a little suspicious to me. I don't know, he just looked very suspicious, a little bit odd. I mean, because he said absolutely nothing to little Bunky, but he had all the smoke for Allan, right? In that room. I mean, it appeared as if he did. And what was puzzling to me is all this time that he's been in there, he still hadn't had the opportunity to call his lawyer. And Desiree is so desperate to get Allan to talk, to give up some names, dates, locations, something. And they also want to take Allan to talk to somebody. And they want him to trust them, right? And whoever it is that wants to talk to him, they can't come out in the general public. So they have to take Allan to him instead. And at first, Allan was like, he's trying to be all hard. No, just take me back to jail. But then he had a second thought and agreed to go with them. But I don't know. I just wouldn't go with anyone blind like that. Like, you don't even know where you're going. And, especially with the fact that you can't trust anybody, but I guess anything's better than going back to that jail cell. Then we'll move on to Max and Bobby. And Bobby is upset because Max wasn't supposed to take his eyes off the president. And he was wondering why Max is now standing in the Great Hall with him instead of being with the president. Max told him that Hunter got out of the bed last night and left the room, and that Eli was ready to go home. And it really wasn't long before Max put two and two together and figured out that there were no men on the second lady. Like, there was no one to protect her. There were no details. And he figured that something was up and concluded that Eli was sleeping with Victoria. Max is a critical thinker, right? You just can't tell him anything and he believe it. He's going to challenge you at every turn. And this is what I can appreciate in this character. But they got a little bit too comfortable and they began questioning Eli. And I think they took it too far here when they were asking about Simone's whereabouts, and they didn't believe him for a minute. They couldn't believe that she was anywhere else other than inside the White House somewhere. He told them that they were overstepping and to basically just mind their darn business. And Bobby immediately jumped on the defense and told him that, hey, we didn't really mean anything by it. But Bobby is really upset because there are no really good guys left, right? And he basically just want to blow everything up and get rid of Eli. Typical Bobby. Now here is where we have our ruthless Oval crossover again. Mike, aka Jason. He's having his first slumber party with River here, and all Jason wants to do is use the phone, and River is telling him that he can use the phone in the morning, which is, we all know that's a lie. And it's the same story with him, just a different victim. He told Aaron the same lie, and of course, we all know what's on River's mind. We know what he wants to do. And I don't see how Jason was up in that trailer, standing there with a straight face, talking to River like he don't see all that naked ass on top of the bunk. On top of that bunk bed. I don't know. It didn't bother him for some reason. Maybe he was just so focused on seeing the highest. Maybe he just wasn't paying attention. But they started off the slumber party kind of casual, getting to know each other a little bit better, comparing their lives. And when Jason told him that his mom sleeps with the help, That sent River's ears a-tingling. He knew that the highest would like Mike, aka Jason, because he comes from money, just like Aaron. Again, same game, different players. Then the next morning on the compound, Daikon mistook Jason for River. And when he got up on the gazebo, he took a closer look and he noticed that Mike was actually Jason Franklin, son of Hunter Franklin, the evil government. Then Daikon wanted to know what he was doing there. We have to remember that Daikon, he's got a flat screen plasma TV, satellite dishes, Apple TV. He's got it all, so it's no surprise that he would know who Jason is. River told him that Manny found him back in the woods. I don't know, like he's some lost puppy dog or something. But he knows exactly who Jason is. The next scene was tough to get through. And it was tough to get through only because, well, let me just go in order. Sam is homeless again. Priscilla put him out and he can't go home again. So Richard is allowing him to stay over. He began to tell him everything that Nancy said at the hospital, but he didn't tell him everything. I mean, he's probably embarrassed, but he really shouldn't be because Sam's wife is out here making him look like a whole fool too, right? So he let Richard know that he was surprised that they hadn't called him into the White House to work because Hunter had OD'd. Then he uttered the sorriest 5 words in Oval history. He told Sam, "I still can't find Barry." What? Sam supposed to have been found Barry. He been looking for Barry for what, 8 years now? He still can't find Barry. Sam then went on to tell Richard that the Rakadooshis didn't hurt him and that Barry was all right. Sam, you've been tight-lipped this whole time, literally for 3 seasons, bruh, about where Barry is. And now all of a sudden you're chatty-patty about Barry. And you actually know where he is. Clearly, I don't know. I'm done. I'm just done with Sam finding Barry. Okay, I'm done with it. And maybe I'll start to care again when it starts to make sense. Okay? But what was also really interesting is that Richard is trying to get rid of Nancy like a 6-year-old who's been misbehaving at school. You know how it is when you've been cutting up at school and then your mama gotta take you. She gotta take you and drop you off somewhere so that she can get back to work, but nobody wants to be bothered with you. And this is what's happening here with Richard. I mean, he's trying to put Nancy off on Priscilla indefinitely. Well, not really, but he wanted her to stay over there until he felt that he was ready to face her in the same house with him. Richard is so hurt and so distraught, but you gotta man up, Richard, and face the music. You can't just, hide in the house and away from Nancy forever. He's gotta figure out what he's gonna do and how he's gonna handle it. So he said he's gonna call his cousin over to the house to watch her. Keep an eye on her until he can get off work. Richard just call a thing, right? Just let bygones be bygones. Let's give it up. Let's give it up, Richard. Now, let's move on to Simone screaming inside the bunker, still in disbelief that her boring husband, Eli, isn't realizing that she hasn't made it home, and it's 8:40 a.m. The security detail let her know that she wasn't going to go anywhere anytime soon, that she was facing serious charges, and that breakfast would be down a bit later. And at this point, I'm sure Simone is beginning to believe everything that Donald told her about her pretentious Boy Scout husband. I mean, she has to, and that's that. And another interesting scene here that slightly pushed the episode forward was where Alonzo came back to Donald to report to him that Allan was in jail. Alonzo explained all what had happened to Allan, how and why he was arrested, and Donald told him to go and gather as much evidence as he could on Alice's behalf and make it go away. Just make it disappear. And I'm sure that this is going to come in direct conflict with Desiree and Kyle's plan to get Allan out on a federal bond. So I'm sure when Alonzo gets there, it's going to be too late. They're going to be gone. And Donald is acting all concerned, even though I know that his only goal is to protect himself and Hunter. He said that he tried to keep Allan from going through all of this, as if, he's Allan's keeper, his big bro. But he tried to have Allan killed a couple of seasons ago. So Donald, just stop. Just stop and tell it to someone who doesn't know any better. And the good news for tonight's episode was that Hunter was up and out of the bed, moving around the White House, and Donald was elated, and he almost kissed Kyle. but he didn't. But he's glad that Hunter is finally up now so that they can grease his hair back, plop him in that chair, and stick a camera in his face just so that people can see that he's okay, which will be quite a challenge because they've already made the announcement that he's incapacitated and that Eli is the sitting president for a while. Another small but important detail, they kind of just plugged this into the episode. Dale, he finally got over to Allan's place and got that black box from on top of the fridge. And inside the black box it's like this envelope and about 20 flash drives. What's on the drives? No one knows. So they don't really hold any significance right now, but I'm sure they will later. Now, that's pretty much it for episode number 5, you guys. And I'll tell you what I liked about this episode. I liked the fact that Donald has a little bit of traction now. So it's kind of moving the story forward just a bit. Because now all he has to do is go to the White House and get Hunter camera ready, just so that he can tell the world that he's okay. And what I didn't like, I'll say it again, the storyline of Sam finding Barry. Just dead it already, okay? Just dead it. We thought Barry was dead. He's not dead. He's probably somewhere wandering around the Raku camp, just like Jason was, and we'll just find him later on. I don't know, but Sam needs to leave that alone. Like, don't give Sam any more lines about where Barry is, okay? But that's my time, you guys. Thank you so much for joining me today on Ruthless TV. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. You know I'd appreciate it. And if you're a fan of Tyler Perry's The Oval, go ahead and sub to this channel for more videos just like this one. Thank you so much for joining me once again today, you guys, and I'm going to see you on the next one.